Charlene here, and I encourage women to be proactive in dating. In my last video, 7 Ways Churches Keep Christian Women Single, I talk about how a lot of the advice that singles hear in church is often unrealistic at best and detrimental at worst in helping women in their dating journey to find a loving, lifelong partner. And if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend checking it out. Okay, in today's video, I'm going to get more specific about why it's so hard to meet men at church. And before I jump in, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my videos. So let's dive in. The number one reason why it's hard to meet men in church is because there are few eligible men in church. According to the Institute for Family Studies, and I quote, just 12% of prime age unmarried men both believe basic Christian teachings and are meaningfully practicing their faith. And what is the gender ratio for active Christians? For every 100 eligible women, there are 85 eligible men. So there are large amounts of women who will not be able to find an equally devout partner. Let's break this down even further. If you are a Protestant woman who wants to marry a Protestant man, here are your numbers. The average Protestant church has 80 attendees on a given Sunday. 11 of those are likely to be under the age of 50, not married, and not divorced. Of those, there are 7 eligible women and only 4 eligible men. Now, how many of these eligible men are actually a good match for what you're looking for in terms of personality, appearance, income, height, and all the items that are on your must-have list for an ideal partner? We also don't know how many of these men are already dating someone outside of the church community or are not ready to date or looking to date right now. I think it's pretty clear that this is not a functional dating market. In fact, the amount of Americans who meet their spouse at church has taken a nosedive from 12% in 1940 to barely 4% today. Whew, deep breath. That was rough, ladies. And now, on a personal note, is reason number 2. Churches lack singles ministries for ages 30 to 35 and older. Who's seen this? If you really want to be proactive like me, call or visit the websites for several large churches in your area. What you will find is that some churches have a young adult singles group or career group, typically for ages 18 to 30. But if you're older than that, you're on your own. This makes it even harder to connect with the few single men that are in church. Which leads me to point 3. Churches encourage women to be passive and wait for their Boaz. Now, if you're not familiar with who Boaz is, he was a man in the Bible who's extremely wealthy, and he has come to represent what a single Christian godly man would be, kind of like the modern day Prince and Charming. He's coming around the corner to sweep us Christian women off our feet. The problem with this is that it is highly unlikely that a man is going to do a cold approach at church and introduce himself to you while he's shuffling out of the church through the crowd, trying to get home to watch the football game and grab some lunch. I have often heard single men even admit that they are intimidated by a woman in a group of women, even a small group at church, and they will not approach her unless she's sitting by herself. However, I and other women I know have gone to church many times and sat alone and still have not been approached by anyone, let alone a single guy our age. At this point, I can hear some of you suggesting, have you tried going to a Bible study? Going back to the data, the large majority of men that go to church only attend the Sunday service and nothing more. Okay, so I'm done giving you the cold, hard facts. Now I want to encourage you. Instead of hoping that the number of eligible men in your church will change or trying to change the system from within, I want to invite you to be open-minded to the good men that are not in church and that are around you every day. While the church often propagates the us versus them mentality, and they group people based on the faithful churchgoers and the bad non-churchgoers, I'd like to remind you that God doesn't see people in black and white. God looks at the heart. God knows that there are people who have been extremely wounded by the church and are still healing, but believe. God knows that we are all on a unique path to growing in our understanding of Him, of grace, of love, and forgiveness. There are Christians outside of church, and there are also men who have strong values, work ethic, and a desire for a committed, healthy relationship. But they might not be totally sure of what they believe yet, but they're open, and they will love you. Quickly judging people and placing them in categories is only going to make it harder to meet real men with real potential. I am not saying that your faith should not be important to you or to the person you marry, but you may need to look outside of your small church pool and expand your requirements so that you don't miss out on the man that God does have for you. I hope this video encouraged you, and if it did, please give the video a like and comment below. I want to know about your experience in meeting men at church that are single. And as always, remember to be proactive in dating. I'll see you in the next video where I will be keeping it real. Bye, guys.